I spent $115,000 on cigarettes, and this is what I have left. So the other day I did something I've been avoiding for most of my adult life. I finally sat down and calculated exactly how much money I have spent on cigarettes. The grand total? $115,000. No, that's not an exaggeration. It's not clickbait. That is the real out-of-pocket cost for an average pack-a-day smoker like me. That money could have been a financial safety net, my retirement, or a dozen other dreams, but instead, it's gone. Vanished into thin air, literally. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it all adds up, where that money went, and maybe more importantly, what I have left to show for it. And I promise you, the answer will probably shock you as much as it shocked me. The backstory, how it all began. My story with smoking isn't special, and honestly, that might be the most tragic part. It started when I was young, around 17. It's the same old story you've heard a million times. Peer pressure, wanting to fit in, thinking it made me look cool or grown up. At first, it was just bumming a few cigarettes from friends at weekend parties. It felt a little rebellious, like a small act of defiance. I never, ever thought it would become a lifelong habit. But soon, bumming cigarettes turned into buying my own pack, just for the weekend. Then that one pack started lasting until Tuesday. Then it was a pack every couple of days. Before I even really knew what was happening, it was a daily ritual, the morning coffee and cigarette. The cigarette on the drive to work, the smoke break that cut through the afternoon slump, the cigarette after dinner. It became the punctuation for my life, a crutch I leaned on for every single emotion: stress, boredom, celebration, sadness. I was a full-blown pack-a-day smoker. For the first few years, I didn't even think about the cost. When you're young, $5 or $6 for a pack doesn't feel like a big deal. It's the price of a coffee or a fast food lunch. You just work it into your daily spending without a second thought. But as the years went on, that price started to creep up. What was once $5 became $7, then $8, then over $10, depending on where you were. The national average price for a pack of cigarettes today is around $10.25, but in some states like New York, it's well over $14. But even as the price climbed, the habit was just too deep to question. You just pay it. You might grumble about it, maybe switch to a cheaper brand for a while, but you always pay it. It becomes this non-negotiable line item in your budget, right there next to rent and groceries. It's scary how it works. You never see the grand total. You only ever see the small daily purchase. It's just $10 here, $10 there. What's $10, right? But that $10, day after day, week after week, year after year, it compounds into a monster. And for decades, I was feeding that monster every single day without ever having the courage to look it in the eye. The aha moment, the wake-up call. For the longest time, the warnings about smoking were all about health. We've all seen the graphic commercials, we've all heard it from our doctors. And I was no different. I'd have these little moments of clarity, usually after a bad cough or feeling winded, climbing a single flight of stairs where I'd think to myself, I really need to quit. But the addiction is just so powerful, and those moments would always pass. The fear wasn't immediate enough. My real wake-up call wasn't a health scare. It was a financial one. A few years ago, my partner and I started getting serious about buying our first home. We were going through the process so many of you know, saving every penny, tracking all our expenses, trying to figure out what we could realistically afford. And we just kept hitting this wall. We'd look at our savings, we'd look at our income, and the numbers just weren't adding up fast enough. A down payment on a house felt like this impossibly far-off dream. One night, we were going over our bank statements, and that familiar pattern of convenience store charges was just staring me in the face. $8 here, $9.50 there, $10 or more, every single day. My partner, just trying to be helpful, casually asked, I wonder how much that all adds up to in a year. The question just hung there in the air. For my entire adult life, I had actively avoided doing that math. I knew somewhere deep down that I didn't want to know the answer. It felt like opening Pandora's box. But this time, feeling so frustrated that our financial goals were out of reach, something inside me just snapped. I said, let's find out. So I pulled out a calculator. My hands were practically shaking. It felt like I was about to confront a ghost. That aha moment wasn't some gentle realization. It was a brutal, gut-wrenching collision with 2 decades of willful ignorance. The cumulative breakdown. The horrifying math. Okay, this is where it gets really ugly. I want to walk you through the exact math I did that night so you can see for yourself how a small daily habit snowballs into a 6-figure catastrophe. Now, to keep it simple, I'm going to use an average price of $8 a pack. And I know what some of you are thinking. It was cheaper years ago, and you're right, but it's also way more expensive now in many places, with some states seeing prices over $10 or even $14. So honestly, $8 feels like a fair and even conservative average for my lifetime of smoking. So here we go. 1 pack a day at $8. That's the starting point. It doesn't sound too bad, does it? Then I multiplied that by 7 days a week. That's $56 per week. Suddenly, it's not just a fancy coffee anymore. That's a full tank of gas. That's a nice dinner out for 2. Next up, the monthly cost. $56 a week times about 4.5 weeks in a month comes out to roughly $252 per month. Now we're talking about a car payment, a big chunk of the monthly grocery bill. That's more than my student loan payment used to be. For years, I was literally smoking a car payment every single month. This is where my breathing started to get a little shallow. The yearly cost, $252 a month, multiplied by 12 months, that came out to $3,024 per year. Over $3,000 every single year gone. That's a family vacation. That's a high-end laptop. That's an emergency fund that I desperately needed but never had. For years, I complained about being broke, all while I was setting fire to $3,000 annually. And now, for the final number, the one that gives this video its title. I started smoking regularly as a teenager, and I kept up a pack-a-day habit for about 38 years. So I took that annual cost of $3,024 and I multiplied it by 38 years. The number that flashed on my calculator screen was $114,912. Let's just call it $115,000. $115,000. I just stared at it. I checked the math 3 times, hoping I'd made a mistake. I hadn't. It was all the money I'd ever spent on cigarettes, laid out in one single, horrifying number. And studies confirm this isn't some wild exaggeration. The opportunity cost, what I actually have left. So, after all that spending, what do I have to show for my $115,000? What's left? The answer is nothing. Actually, it's less than nothing. What I have left are the yellowed walls in my old apartment that I had to pay to repaint. I have the stale smell in old jackets that I can never quite wash out. I have the memories of standing outside in the freezing cold or the pouring rain, just desperate for a fix. I have a cough that won't go away and lungs that aren't what they should be. But in terms of actual assets, in terms of wealth, absolutely nothing. That $115,000 is the number that hurts because it's so tangible. It could have been a 20% down payment on a $575,000 house, which would have completely changed my family's future. It could have been a brand new car, paid for in cash twice. It could have funded my child's entire college education. It could have been a financial safety net that would have erased years of stress and anxiety. But the story doesn't even end there. The $115,000 is just what came out of my pocket. That's only the tip of the iceberg. The real cost, the opportunity cost, is what truly keeps me up at night. Financial experts have calculated that if a smoker had invested that money instead, the lifetime opportunity cost could be over $1 million, with some estimates reaching as high as $2 million to $4 million, depending on the market and where you live. Think about that. The simple act of not buying a pack of cigarettes and investing that money instead could have made me a millionaire. That's what I sacrificed. For what? For a fleeting 10-minute nicotine rush. And it goes even deeper. Study after study shows that smokers tend to earn less money than non-smokers, on average, anywhere from 16% to 24% less over a lifetime. It happens for lots of reasons: more sick days, lower productivity, and sometimes even workplace bias. So on top of the money I was spending, I was also earning less than I could have been. It's a devastating 1-2 punch to your financial life. When you add it all up, the out-of-pocket spending, the massive lost investment gains, and the lower income, the real cost of my habit isn't $115,000. It's a multi-million-dollar mistake. And that is what I have left: the knowledge of a monumental financial error that I can never, ever undo. Look, I didn't make this video to shame anyone. I made it because I know for a fact that if I, just a regular person, could spend this much money without even realizing it, then millions of other people are doing the exact same thing right now. So here's what I'm asking you to do. If you smoke, or if you have any recurring daily habit that costs money, vaping, fancy coffees, energy drinks, whatever it is, I want you to do the math. It's simple. Take the daily cost, multiply it by 365, and then multiply that by how many years you've been doing it. I want you to face your number, and when you have it, please share it in the comments below. Don't be embarrassed. Be brave. By sharing your number, you're not just holding yourself accountable. You might just give someone else the wake-up call that they need to see. Let's make this comment section a testament to the hidden cost of these habits and a support group for everyone who wants to make a change. Finding out I had literally burned through $115,000 was a painful, humbling experience. For a while, I was just drowning in regret. It's hard not to, when you can measure your addiction in terms of a house you can't buy or a retirement you haven't saved for. But regret is a wasted emotion. The past is gone, that money is gone. I can't get it back. All I have is control over what I do next. And so the day after I did that math, I had my last cigarette. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy. But now, every time I feel a craving, I don't think about the health risks. I think about that number. I think about the $8 I'm not spending today. I think about the $56 I'm saving this week. I think about the future I'm trying to build, not the past I'm trying to forget. Quitting smoking isn't just a health decision. It's one of the single biggest financial decisions you can ever make. The money you save starts piling up from day one. And while I may have lost $115,000, the future is an unwritten page. From now on, I'm the one holding the pen, and I plan on writing a much richer story. Thanks for listening.